welcome along. Are you ready for more broken border madness? An illiterate Iraqi goat herder has just been sent to prison for trying to flood a rural Welsh town with drugs. Harway Ahmed wanted to become the great big drug dealer of rural Britain. Apparently, he wanted to come here for a better life. Instead, of course, he just started, well, selling Class A's. And he was part of this motley crew, all right? What emerged in court is fascinating. Asylum seekers are going around the country, setting up camp in certain towns and running the drugs trade. This gang also used barbershops and restaurants as money laundering fronts. So when you walk down your high street and you see new barbershops, suspiciously empty kebab houses and dodgy-looking phone shops, let's be honest, we all know what that's about, don't we? But it's not just illegal immigrants who come here to commit crime. No, absolutely not. It's been revealed that around 400,000 legal migrants did not have their criminal records checked. Nearly half of all work visas were awarded to individuals who were not required to undergo a Home Office criminal record check. They were allowed to bring their dependents with them, who were also not required to have their criminal records checked. Is it any wonder, then, that we see stories like this one from The Telegraph? Foreign nationals nearly twice as likely to be arrested than Britons. But don't worry, because once they've lived here for a little bit, they'll integrate into our culture. This Egyptian surgeon working in the NHS claimed that he thought it was OK to harass female colleagues because of Britain's open culture, like women being allowed to go to wine bars. Just to return to the first story about the goat herder, I think, look, we've got a lot of potent cocktails going on here, haven't we? An organised, illegal, migrant crime gang. When he gets out of prison, shouldn't we just, put him on a plane and remind him that there's goats that need herding in his homeland? Let's get the thoughts from my panel. We've got former Tory Minister Michelle Donnellan, political commentator Alex Armstrong, broadcaster and journalist JJ Anasobi. Michelle, I'll start with you. Again, this raises its head. Why on earth do we have to pay for these people to be in prison? Can't we just, And I should have added in that, actually, which I forgot to do. He says he claimed asylum. He did claim asylum from Iraq. But he went home to get married.
Yes, I saw that, which is bonkers, and then came back.
Yeah.
But without his wife.
Yeah.
Which is a bit suspicious in itself.
Bit odd.
Bit odd indeed, yeah. So we should be doing the checks on the legal migrants, and we should be cracking down on illegal immigrants.
Oh, just say sorry about this. Probably got a slight issue with your mic, which we will fix. Alex, your views on this?
Well, look, we should just be deporting these people. You come to the United Kingdom and you said you want to come here for a better life, but you've joined a gang, you're distributing drugs, you're ruining these local communities. Go home. Don't bring that here. I don't want those people in this country. And successive elections, this electorate have said, the British public have said, we don't want these people coming here. We want you to stop immigration. We want you to stop the boats. And yet we're putting them at taxpayer expense at the tunes of millions. And we've got our prisons are overcrowded. And now we're having to release criminals onto the streets. I mean, come on. It's just getting ridiculous, Pat. We've got to stop them. And that is it.
Yes, OK.
Yeah, Pat.
All right.
Yeah, Pat.
But look, this is now, again, it's been put out there that these barbershops, this suspicious number of phone shops that you see everywhere and everything, we all thought this is some kind of money laundering thing. Obviously, I don't want to get sued by every single barber in the country. But we all know what it is, don't we? And it's money laundering like this. How are we letting them get away with it?
Well, I believe the number is £65,000 what it costs you for the police and the court costs just to get criminals through court and sentenced. Then on top of that, it's £40,000 a year per prisoner. So this guy's going to cost us in his first year 105,000 quid. I used to live in Dubai. I saw plenty of British people break the law, get sent to prison, and as soon as they come out, they were put on a plane straight back to the UK. I don't understand why we don't have such a simple set of laws in this country for the same thing. If you are a foreigner in this country and you break the law,
and Dubai is safe, isn't it?
Dubai is completely safe.
Obviously, I am aware that their human rights record is not particularly great, but in terms of a pure law and order sense, Dubai feels safe.
Yeah, it feels very safe. I would never lock my door in Dubai. You could go out without your keys. It was a safe place.
That's a good point. Why is that? It's because they have strong law and order. People can't just go around committing crimes. People can't take drugs. I'm not saying Dubai is perfect. I certainly wouldn't want to live under some of their rules.
No,
but there is a deterrent, right? There's a deterrent.
I don't particularly want the Sharia, but...
Exactly.
But again, we're seen as a soft touch, aren't we? We're seen as a place where you can come, you can get benefits almost immediately. You can obviously organise a criminal gang and get away with it.
Yeah.
And we'll just turn a blind eye and we'll probably accept you even if you do go to prison.
It's also how easy it is to do. So this guy had his own name tattooed on his arm.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So that he could, whenever I said, what's your name, he could point at it. With respect, how difficult is it to learn how to pronounce your own name?
Not only that as well. I mean, once you're here, start trying to make an effort to learn the language.
Or make a name up.
And be
You know,
part
and
of
integrate.
society.
As you said, it's just mad.
Make a name up.
Do you know any other names? Have you ever heard of someone with another name? Maybe say that name. You don't have to get it tattooed on your arm so that you can go, what's your name? You know, mad. I just don't get it. But this is the thing. What kind of checks are we seeing here? Clearly very few. So we get the Iraqi goat herder. He can have asylum and then just, goes missing somewhere. He's part of a drug empire, part of a money laundering operation. Doesn't make any attempt to speak English. I mean, a functional country would probably have some kind of inquiry into this.
Well, absolutely. And we need to crack down, but we also need to change the culture. And at the moment, what we've done is, under this government, we've reopened the hotels, haven't we? So we've said, come over here, we'll put you up in this plush hotel that a lot of British people can't actually afford to stay in themselves. So what message does that send out?
This guy was living in the north. I think he'd been given accommodation in the north, and he went down to Aberystwyth, is where it was. Lovely place. He's gone on holiday all the time. Lovely little seaside town. That would be ringing alarm bells. Locals would see him and say, well, he's not from around here, he doesn't speak any English, and he's in and out the barbershop and then out on
be allowed
the
to say
city
that,
streets.
JJ. That's racist. You weren't allowed to say that. You'd be locked up for that. You're joking.
Guilty.
No, but you make a point. Like you would have thought that they'd be able to stop it. When it comes to the legal side of it now, like I've got absolutely no doubts whatsoever that the overwhelming majority of these 400,000 people would not even have a criminal record to check, and I want to make that very clear. But it might be nice if we had checked.
Quite.
Well,
there could be
sense, wouldn't it?
paedophiles in there, there could be murderers, there could be anything, couldn't there?
It's their dependents as well. So it's the however many it was that we actually gave the work visas to. They then can bring however many dependents that was at the time that they were allowed to. We weren't checking them either. So quite very easily I mean, everyone's got a dodgy uncle, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he flew back to Iraq to get married and then came back here says a lot. I think Sweden, was it something a ridiculous percentage of so-called asylum seekers flew home for holiday seasons? If you do that, that should be it at the border. Sorry, you clearly think it's safe enough to fly home for a funeral or a family gathering, but you want to live here to get a better life. It's ridiculous. They're economic migrants, and we need to start saying it as it is.
If Labour put forward a change legislation now that said we're not going to put foreign criminals in jail, we're going to put them straight into a plane and send them away, I think the country would be in favour of it.
Absolutely.
However, lefty lawyers, as I've seen previously, would be out there saying, no, that's in breach of their human rights.
Well, they would, because actually we've just seen, we weren't planning on talking about this, but it's kind of linked, isn't it? Italy, Giorgia Meloni, Keir Starmer went over there and said, how are you going to do all of this stuff? And, today it's emerged that an Italian court has said to her, well, actually, that asylum processing centre you built in Albania with a load of people you picked up in international waters, and you have to bring them to Italy.
Which is a complete joke, because all it was processing at the end of the day. It wasn't even the final destination that
I don't think they were ever even in Italy.
Yeah.
I don't think they were ever even in Italy, were
yes,
they?
I don't know about
they
that.
got them out of the water.
That's right.
But I think it might have been international water.
But this was purely for processing. This wasn't like the Rwanda scheme where you then stay in Rwanda.
Yeah.
So to say that they can't even be processed somewhere else is absolutely bonkers.
So it feels like Keir Starmer might have paid a visit to one of those courtrooms. Here's how you get round it, mate. Here's what you do if you want to keep him.
I've got the inside track on it all. Maybe. But no, look, it's just one last one. Just about this idea of British culture, because the third story that I mentioned there in that monologue was about an Egyptian surgeon who had been done for harassing women, OK? And his excuse, one of the excuses that he used in court was that he arrived, I think, in 2016, and he thought that was just part of British culture because women are allowed to do things like go to wine bars. The counterpoint to that was, well, even if you did think that to begin with, you've been here long enough to probably realise that's not the way we do things. But is that a problem about, I suppose, an integration or assimilation with British culture, do you think?
Well, let's be frank. There are definitely British-born men who treat women in this country badly.
Yeah.
It's not as if we're all knights in shining armour. We're not. Don't get me started on Alex Armstrong. Wrong gun.
Real
Complete wrong.
allegations, Real allegations. It was my lawyer. I better call Keir Starmer out, actually. So...
But I'm pretty sure this guy is just trying to say whatever he can to try and get out of trouble.
Yes.
And again, if he is here as a foreigner and he's not got a British passport, I've got no issue with just deporting him. You break the law. If I go to the US and I start doing stuff over there, sexually assaulting women and pinching women's asses, or men's asses, whatever, then they're going to kick me out of the country and I'll get banned. Why can we not have the same kind of laws here?
So I agree. I think he's using this as a bit of an excuse. But there is a broader problem that we're too afraid to talk about British culture. We're too afraid to talk about what being British is, British values. We don't teach them properly in our schools. Yeah. We don't then encourage immigrants to integrate and to become at one with our country and our fabric, because the country is too afraid to talk about these things, which is ridiculous.
It's a shame, really, isn't it? Because, you know, then you end up with situations like that. But